So let's go back to the manager and let's actually go to a share. So here's the sister stuff share. So I'm logged in to data governance here, right? Here's data governance, and I'm logged in as a data governance administrator. I've browsed to the shares in that machine, and here's the sister stuff share. Now what I want to do from here is I want to find out who has been using this share and the data that's within it, under like within the folder that share represents. So from here, I have my sister stuff. I can right click and I have this resource activity report. Right in the manager, I can click here and I get the wizard for generating the resource activity report. So these options here is the time span which I want to report on. So the default is the last 7 days. Of course, you can pick a date range or you can pick all activity that's in the DG activity database. I'm going to go next. If you want specific accounts to be excluded from this report, so above and beyond the resource activity exclusions for the managed host, I can also pick other accounts that may have been using the resource, but I'm not particularly interested in showing in this report. For now, I'm not going to add any excluded accounts for this report. I'm going to go next. And then if you're looking to trim down the activity types that are in the report, so I'm not interested in any reads, I'm not interested in any writes, etc., appearing in the report. Security change is probably a good one, because if I'm just using it to find out who's been using the data but maybe not changing security, I can select this, but again, I'm not going to touch anything, and I'm just going to go finish. And there you go, there's your report. So you can see that the sister stuff, now again, I ran the report on the share, but it's showing the activity based on the underlying folder that share represents, because the agent exists on the machine locally, watching resource activity. It's watching it locally on that folder. So we report activity based on the underlying folder that share is representing. So here you can see the administrator of the domain has made a security change. You can see that the administrator made another security change here. And then you can see P Green has been writing, she's been reading. She's been doing a bunch of activities here. I'll scroll down. It's probably a little bit of a big report. Here you can see that Jay Gillis has been doing some actions within the sister stuff directory as well. And then if I scroll over, you can see we have these columns: start time, end time, and count. Again, this goes back to the aggregation that I had talked about previously, where each individual action is not reported at a specific time frame. It's reported between a start time and end time, a time span. And that's how DGE collects, well, it collects activities accurately, but it reports them and stores them aggregated. Here, you can see this particular line here, there's a count of 2. So whatever that action was, between 8:13 and 8:14, there was actually 2 counts of the same activities. So that is the resource activity report for this resource. Now, the other thing I can do with resource activity is I can run an activity report not from a resource perspective, but from an account perspective. So here I'm going to go to security index and I'm going to find Pam Green. And she's here. And again, any selection within the security index view is going to give you these options here: account access, account activity, account comparison, simulation, and manage access. Right now, I'm interested in the account activity report. Again, we bring up a wizard that allows you to select different options for the activity report: last 7 days, or date range, or all dates and times. I'm not going to change those options. This one, against all accessible hosts or specific hosts. What have they been doing only on this particular managed host? Again, I'm not going to change that. I'm going to go next. And then if you want to restrict the actions that actually appear in the report, I'm not going to touch that. I'm just going to go finish. And here we go. Here's the account activity report for my sister Pam. And you can see everything that Pam's been doing. So on this host, on this resource, What to Buy Matthew for His Birthday, Pam read the file once between this time span, and she wrote to the file twice. Again, here's another file that Pam's been touching, things that interest Pam and Jennifer.txt. And we have, she read this file once, but she wrote to it twice. Again and again, right? You can scroll down, you can see all the activities that, that Pam's been doing here, right? So that's the account activity report, the resource activity report, and the account activity report. Both of these reports are generated by talking to the DGE server. The DGE server looks into its own internal activity database and then returns the information. So again, DGE is the only one that talks to that activity database. These reports are also available in the web portal. So here we go. Here's my web portal, and I'm logged in as CMuse. I'm going to go to My Settings, Report Subscriptions. So here's the account activity report. You can subscribe to this report directly from the web portal, and it'll show you the options. So pick your format that you want, PDF, target accounts. You can browse for an AD account, start date and end date in terms of when you want activity to be shown. Select specific managed hosts. Again, excluded activities. The same types of parameters that you would pick through the manager. When you click save, and then you have a subscribed report that will be emailed to you, right? So that's the account activity report through the web portal. We also have the resource activity report, which I'll go to page 2. There's a resource activity report. Now, again, the only difference between the account activity and the resource activity, the account activity report you can subscribe to in the web portal for any AD account that happens to be in the Identity Manager database. No problem there. Resource activity is a little different. The target resources, they have to be governed resources. So you can't just select any resource or run the resource activity report. It has to be governed data, but that report is available in the web portal. So finally, what I'd like to show you is why we collect activity, not just for account activity reports and resource activity reports, which may be useful, but the main reason DGE calculates or collects activities on these managed hosts is so we can determine who should own the data, right? Who should be responsible for that data? And using activity is one of those ways we can do it. So here is the sister stuff, share. I'm going to right click on that, or I could do it from the task pane as well. And we have this option here, calculate perceived owners. I'm going to click on calculate perceived owners, finding perceived owners, and here we go. Here's some perceived owners for this resource. So we have P Green, Pam Green, 33%. She's the probable business owner. Jay Gillis, my other sister, Jennifer, she's 25.97%, probable, And then up here, you also see the administrator of the domain. Well, I'm not too interested in setting our father, that's our father, Clarence Muse, is the business owner of this resource, even though he is the boss, right? But here, I think Pam should be the owner. Pam has been using it more frequently, percentage-wise. I have a better feeling that she should be the business owner, right? Now, it's just a suggestion. I'm free to choose any of these accounts I want. And outside of here, I can choose any account as well that happens to be synchronized into Delone Identity Manager from an employee basis. I can set an employee. But here, this just shows you the output of the perceived owner calculation based on the activity that the agents have been sending to the DGE server. So here, if I decide I want Pam to be the business owner, I go right ahead and I can set her to be the owner right here, and then she will be responsible for this resource going forward.